here on the family station, Love 101 FM. It's another week, and we're going to be having a tremendous interview with a great personality today. It is the program designed for men, hosted by men, and whose guests are men. So it's good to be here with you this afternoon. Welcome to the mailbox. I'm Courtney Morrison. My usual co-host Kevin Bailey will not be joining us for this continued, well, for the rest of the month of May. So man, oh man, guess what? We're gonna go and hold on the fort until he returns. But today's program, as I say, it is going to be exciting. For the month of May, we've been doing a short series called Perspective Through the Generations. We want to look into the lives of different men, or we have been looking into the lives of different men. Yes, different ages, different experiences, and how they feel about being a man. How special is it? This week is extra special because it's Mentegrity Wednesday. This week discussion, we'll be looking at perspective through the generation, life in a man's world. And our guest this evening is an individual who has hit social media platform in a tremendous way. His name is Andrew Dennis, or he's better known as Miss Pearly Grandson. And we know a name like that can only be for a Jamaican. Nowhere else in the world could anyone give themselves such a title. Miss Pearly Grandson, Mr. Andre Davis is here with us. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the program, The Mail.
Miss Pearly Grandson, Mr. Andrew Dennis. Confirm that you are hearing me, please.
We are confirming that you are Mr. Andrew and Miss Pearly Grandson.
Good. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you. And we're going to be discussing quite a number of things today. Won't be putting you in any hot spot on any issues.
Listen,
that will be
I'm
left up
ready.
to you
Shoot your shot.
if you so choose. But want to man them to know that we have Andrew Dennis, Miss Pearly's grandson, right here with us. And we need to hear from you as we go through the program. We need for you to send your feedback or questions on Facebook, our Facebook page or our YouTube page at Love 101 FM. You may leave your comments via our WhatsApp line at 876-997-3125 or give us a call on our studio line at 876-968-8327. Women on the no loving a bad. Can't do it without you. But this program is for the men. And so we're saying to you, remember, you can participate in the program. But that method is by leaving us a message via our WhatsApp line. That's 997-3125. Or comment on our Facebook page. Females, remember, no calls or voice note is allowed. That privilege is reserved for the man them today. It is the mailbox. We'll come right back after this break, and we'll come back with Miss Pearly Grandson just to talk to you guys.
Hey man! I am a man, yes. Strong man.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the Ministry of Counseling and Prayer of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today, 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. It's the telephone counseling and prayer ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. A reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
When I come to the end of myself, Father, carry me. I am a
Welcome back to the mailbox. You're live here on Love 101 FM. Going 30 years. Family, music, and love. That's what we've been sharing, giving the wind a mighty voice. And today on the mailbox, we have a special guest with us, Mr. Andre Davis, otherwise known as Mr. Andre Davis. Did I say Miss
Andrew.
Andre Davis?
Andrew.
How did
Andrew.
I do that?
Andrew.
Mr.
Andrew.
Andre Davis.
Andrew.
Andrew. There
Yes.
you go. You know what? Let me read your profile so that we can get this thing correct and so I can stop making these errors. He was born in Kingston but grew up with his grandmother, his paternal grandmother, in Southeast St. Elizabeth. He attended Red Bank All Age in St. Elizabeth and then he came to the municipality of Portmore and attended the Waterford High School and B.B. Coke in St. Elizabeth. He graduated with 2 C6 subjects and 5 SSC, just enough to matriculate to Teachers College at the time. He was accepted at Church's Teachers College in the year 2000 to pursue a DPed in physical education and science. UWI in 2005 to pursue a bachelor's degree in biology and education, and UWI in 2010 to complete his master's in educational measurement. What are those things? Anyway, he's currently enrolled at the University of South Carolina working on a PhD. So I'm going to address the man properly as Dr. Pearly grandson. All right. In education, now psychology and research. 2023 marks 20 years since the start of his career as an educator. He often says passion is his strength, his passion is his weakness.
Absolutely.
He is in the process of setting up a non-profit organization in Jamaica, MPG Purpose, so that he can realize his passion to give back in this way. Mr. Andrew Davis, Miss Pearly grandson, you know, I listened to one of your things, and one of our questions we love to ask here on the mailbox is, did you grow up with a gold spoon in your mouth or do you have a scorpion on your back? You tell us. Tell us a bit about those early days and growing up. Want to hear about it.
Never born with a gold spoon, never grow up with a gold spoon. It was, a typical childhood for a typical child in the rurals of Jamaica in the late 1980s, early 1990s. It is as colorful as you imagine it to be, from carrying water to bucking your toe to go help them bring load, go market, when them say pad the donkey, all of those things. If you, no matter how colorful you can imagine it, I lived it in a nice little community called Genus in Southeast St. Elizabeth.
So you actually rode the donkey, carry water in a
Never
bucket.
ride the donkey.
Never ride the donkey, only see the donkey.
Listen,
okay.
There was one time I recall my grandfather named Sugar. There is one time I recall going onto the donkey, and it was when my grandfather invited me upon the donkey. And them have a thing on the back of the donkey named saddle. One board something, and then you have the hamper hook on the saddle on the two sides of the donkey. Well, the space in the saddle never big enough to accommodate two people. So Sugar would have sit down in the saddle. So when he invited me, on the donkey, he was asking me to sit down behind the saddle, almost on the donkey tail. Well, as sure as nightfall as day, me drop off. That is my only memory. That's my only memory being on a donkey. And the one time I go on it, me drop off of the donkey.
It was your first and your last time.
First and last. First and last.
Well, we're happy you didn't break any bones. But we also want to hear of growing up in St. Elizabeth. What was it like growing up with Miss Pearly? We want to hear about all those stories live and direct and in color, living color.
Growing up with Miss Pearly was much of a routine. It wasn't, there was hardly anything that was unpredictable. She was a disciplinarian in every sense of the word. Time management was a big thing, even without her being able to use, intellectual jargons. Your life was very predictable. You get up out of your bed in the morning, you search for your yard clothes, because them time that you have go-to-noting clothes and yard clothes separate. So you search for your yard clothes, you get dressed, you go out, go tie out the goat them in the drew water. By the time you come back, your foot clean and pretty. When you're on your way back, you go broke one rosemary broom, you go come sweep the yard. When you're done, you can see your face in the yard, how it pretty. You go clean the house, you go make sure say everything done before you left the yard for go up on my sizzling yard, go play. You understand? And anyhow, anything not get done, you go here I down there hoop. No, she never have a Nokia 3310. No, she never have any other means of communication. But if you come out under the pear tree, put her two hand her kimbok, turn her mouth up the road and start hoop Andrew name on the top of her lungs. And best believe, even if me did get caught up in a plane with Desi and Cola and somebody go say, Andrew, hear me Spurley, I call you. Because her call was like everybody in the district knew it. Everybody in the community knew Miss Spurley call. Yes, man.
Sounds exciting. Sound like
So
the
she,
real
so she, so
rural
it was a
Jamaican.
good experience growing up with her. She didn't have the education. She always tell her story how much, the last time she got school was when 33 storm did blow and the school blow down one nail took her in her foot, the foot blood poison. She never go back. So she never have much in terms of an education, but she did make it her point of duty to make sure she got school every single solitary day, sunshine or rain. And she always said, take in your education, take in. You know what I mean? It was a wonderful experience. Dinner was just as predictable. Them time the chicken was scarce commodity. Do not get carried away. It was grown provisions. It was somewhere
Mhm.
between callaloo, cauliflower, cabbage, ackee, right? Sometimes fry up tomato when you're lucky you have a piece of saltfish or a piece of salt mackerel. Them way there. You bless the heavens. When you hear say Sunday come and then say come go buy 2 pound of chicken. Oh God, your dear make because say Sunday you have
Luxury.
chicken and rice and peas and then Monday you have chicken and bread for lunch in a your little lunch skit.
Nice. Sounds quite exciting,
It was an
and you're giving
exciting
us a
time.
background into what rural Jamaica was like. Not much like
Absolutely.
that anymore. Who was your greatest influence? Mommy, daddy, Miss Pearl. Let us hear a bit more.
When I was growing up in St. Elizabeth, my major influence would have been the teachers at Red Bank School. Miss Simpson, Miss Williams, Miss Roach, Mr. Senior, Mr. Spencer, Mr. Green, because they presented something that looks a little different and they gave you something to aspire towards. As a first generation college kid, there was hardly anybody in my family per se. I had one uncle who was a police, but being a coward man, that means because me always hear from very, very early from Miss Pearly, say coward man keeps sound bone. So being a coward man, that means me never even aspire for hold a gun, me never aspire for going to the force, none of that. And so it was my teachers, I would say, that would have been of the greatest influence in terms of, career path, but certainly in terms of morality and in terms of, integrity. My grandmother would have had to take the credit for that, Miss Pearly, because she make it her point of duty. Say, listen, you're gonna do the right thing, and whatever you do, make sure say when you're on school road, you know, say nothing and you know do nothing for bring no shame to Miss Pearly name, because should you peradventure you venture there, you're going to be you have a conversation with a leather strap when you go home. So you walk it straight and narrow and you do what you're supposed to do.
And those were promises, they weren't threats. We're going to go for a
Absolutely.
break where we're interviewing Mr. Andrew Dennis, known as Miss Pearlie's grandson. You're live on Love 101 FM, the family station. This is the mailbox. I'm Pastor Courtney Morrison. We're right back with you.
Hey man! Jamaica Central Bank digital currency is now here. Jamix, no cash, no problem. Step into a future of ease, convenience, and security. Conduct business with your mobile device instantly and without fees. This is how life should be with Jamix. You catch it free. Jamix and it free. Use it to buy your store or TV. You can buy your shoes or 3Ps. The Central Bank digital currency. No cash, no problem. Jamix, backed by the Bank of Jamaica.
Fire in My Soul Promotions in association with Kingdom Liberty Evangelistic Ministries and Partners present Kingdom Worship Experience with Kevin Downswell, Rhoda Isabella, Mark Johnson, Terry Sales, and the CAG family. Music by DJ Rebirth, DJ Marcy Reds, and DJ Stick. Saturday, May 27, 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. at Curfew Place, 4 South Avenue, Swallowfield. Admission is free. Just bring an offering, and proceeds are made of the Swallowfield Primary and Infant School. 876-776-3217.
I am a man, I am a man, I am a man, yes.
Welcome back, welcome back. You're live here on Love 101 FM, the family station, the number one gospel station here in the nation. We're talking about perspective through the generations, life as a youth and what it was and is now. And we're talking to Mr. Andrew Dennis. He is our guest for today, Miss Pearlie grandson, as he's known on the social media platform. But before we get into the meat of all of that, tell us a bit about your transition from rural Jamaica to Portmore. I listened to one of your things, one of your commentaries. I'm not sure how to say them, but you tell me what they are. Where you talk about, you were actually addressing a young lady, but be that as it may, about being you
Or the
came from
language,
country and
you
come
heard
to
that
Portmore.
one. Yes,
But tell us
yes,
about
yes.
your transition.
Difficult transition. Never expect it to be so challenging. So did the better part of my childhood years, probably about anywhere between 4 and 5 to 11, 12 in St. Elizabeth, got used to the rural lifestyle, got used to, a certain way of doing and a certain way of being. But at the time I would visit the city to spend, like Christmas breaks or summer breaks with my mother. And I long to go to the city to live there, because things are so very different and things are so very nice at the time in my eyes, from running water, you turn on a pipe and water run out, you flush a bathroom, no cockroach a crawl when have to use the toilet seat and lick the seat so that the roach them have to go down, type of thing. Electricity, TV, things plug in and so on and so forth. So you long to live in the city, shop the clothes. You have Tolo across the road, you have JB right there, so you have Fat Man down there. So like everywhere you turn is a different shop. When me the St. Elizabeth and me I go a shop, me have to brace myself. Me have to turn up, and when you walk go shop at St. Elizabeth, you come like how the day when time Joshua did say, "Oh, that the sun stands still." Because all you walk, the sun stand up. My granny would have said in the element. So when you go Portmore and you see say shop close and water run out of pipe, and you have one neighbor you saw one day so, and you have burglar bar, and oh God, the kids are playing in the streets. You aspire to live in that place. But transitioning to Portmore for me was a challenge because by the time I got to Portmore, I had gotten used to a rural lifestyle, a rural way of doing, a rural way of speaking. And, at them time, the people are discriminate and they even know so them are discriminate. So the othering I experienced at Waterford as a little country boy was not necessarily particularly pleasant, and that made the transition to Portmore a little bit of a challenge for me.
Transitioning from BB Coke, Red Banks. Let me get the name of your primary school correct.
Red Bank, and it was
Yes,
all age at the time. Red Bank,
all age.
all age school. The one where stop at grade 9,
To
and when grade 9 done your age up.
to university. To
To
university.
Waterford.
Waterford High. Yeah.
Yes, that
I,
was
I
a
wonder if you were there when Mr. Holness was there. Who was the principal at the time?
Miss
Not-
Gascoigne was the principal, Miss
okay,
Grant the vice
good.
principal.
The transition, little country boy, come Waterford High, then go to university. Tell us about those experiences as well.
So of course Waterford never worked out, and I say it all the time that had I remained in Waterford, I don't know what my future would have looked like. But thank God that I made the decision to go back to St. Elizabeth, where it was very much more familiar and where I had a family of teachers waiting to help me to navigate. So even as we talk about transitioning, the transition from childhood through adolescence was not easy for me either. Puberty were some difficult times with some hormonal imbalances and mood swings and all sorts of things, and I had absolutely no idea what you ascribe them a strange feeling, yeah, too, type of thing. But by the time I got back to St. Elizabeth and got back to the familiarity of genus, got back to Miss Pearly and Weezer, them I have conversation, and Auntie Mom them, and get back to the lifestyle that I was familiar with. Then I started to feel myself come alive again. And then by the time I went to BB Kokai and have teachers receive me with open arms, almost ready to mother me, teachers like Miss Ryan, Miss Johnson, and Miss Levy, and them people there, Mrs. Thomas, ready to mother me, they would have played a very significant part in helping to mold me and to shape me, and to encourage me to be something, type of thing. And so by the time I was leaving Junction School, I wouldn't say I was poised for greatness by virtue of what I was leaving with. But in terms of character traits and so on, I was well prepared to move on to the next level. And so I started working as a plumber. After high school, I got a little job as a plumber with a gentleman named Mr. Bailey back in Kingston again. Back in
Mm-hmm.
Kingston again, with a little gentleman named Mr. Bailey. Very, very helpful, very, very understanding gentleman. I wore the name plumber, and not plumber, apprentice, Prento. I wear the name Prento for a little while,
Wow.
I did that for a while, and then I stopped myself in my tracks, and I was like, I'm gonna try something a little bit different. And that was when I applied to Church Teachers College and was accepted to do science and physical education. And then the rest is, history.
Did you vision yourself being where you are today when you were in rural St. Elizabeth? What was your outlook on life then as to where you are now? Compare them. Are they the same
Um,
positions?
they are not. Did I envision all of this? I did not. And by virtue of how much I have been able to achieve and how much has unfolded in my life, it really is testament to the fact that there has to be a God somewhere. When I was a child growing up, I thought to myself that I was going to be successful. But at the time when I was saying it, it was more a cliche type of something you're trained to say rather than something that you actually are able to envision. You know what I mean? Labor for learning before you grow old. Education and good manners take you through the world, and all that. You were taught all of those fundamentals. But in terms of, like I said earlier, having somebody to model a particular, thing, in terms of being exposed to different careers, and in terms of having an idea that after secondary school there is tertiary, different colleges and universities. I didn't know anything about those things while I was growing up. It was after high school that I learned about teachers college. If you, I kid you not, it was after I was almost done with high school. A girl from my community, Nicola, left my community and got church teachers college and come back and I tell you about it. And even as she spoke about church teachers college, her stories, they were so far-fetched. Her experiences were so very
Wow.
different. And you say to yourself, wow, that sounds amazing. But even while you are there soaking up, all of the stories what you have to tell and what have you, you didn't think that you would ever actually qualify to go there as well. And then she said, why you not apply? You know, apply, man. And so I sent in an application, and honest to goodness, I did not necessarily expect to be contacted. Worse forgetting. And as it turns out, you know, as it turns out.
Well, Nicola, we thank you for planting that seed in
Absolutely.
Miss Pearly Grandson's
Childhood friend, and
mind.
still on WhatsApp today. We're still communicating.
Excellent, excellent. Question before we go to the second break. Um, Family.
Family.
Um, Tell us a bit about your daughter, Troy Ann. What is she like? What's the story?
Troy is my little bundle of joy and the subtotal of my children at the moment. Because I only have one, right? Troy was born at 28 weeks, was diagnosed cerebral palsy from very early, apparently experienced some brain related issues in her very early years, and as a consequence of that she has experienced developmental delays, to the extent that she's now 9 years old and she's still pretty much almost like a baby, if you know what I mean. She has shown significant growth, and we have seen the power of God manifested through that child, but in terms of is she on par with other kids her age, she's not, but full of life and full of appetite and full of joy and energy, and we absolutely love having her.
Awesome. Support is here, bro. Support is here if you need
Absolutely.
it. Right here. Man and man, we have to support each other in
Yes,
those
yes, yes.
ways.
Yes, yes, yes.
We know you're a content creator. And we're going to come to that after the break because that's where I want to get to with this interview today. But indeed, we know you're starting a couple of projects. But before we go to the break, your definition of success. What would you say success is?
um Ultimately, legal, feeding your family, experiencing joy and fulfillment in what it is that you do. That is success. Adequately
Wow.
catering to your needs and the needs of your family without breaking the law, and you are
Mhm.
satisfied and you are fulfilled in your accomplishments.
Thanks much. Support. How important is support? Family support, male mentorship support. Where do you place those?
Cannot be emphasized enough. Support. Support is that ingredient that is grossly underrated. People don't talk about it enough. Marriages break apart because of lack of support. Families break apart because of lack of support. And by that same token, people grow together and do exceptionally well together because they are very supportive of each other. As a man, really and truly, I really want to say to the man them, say, listen, you are not an island. You cannot stand alone. And I know that because of how we have been taught and traditions, and even the Bible teaches us that a man is expected to take responsibility for certain things and take the bull by the horn. And all of those are excellent traits to have. But there comes a point when you have to recognize the Eve, that's there for you, and what she brings to the table, the one who bears the rib type of thing. I promise you, I'd not be able to do as much as I aspire to do without having a very, very, very supportive wife. My wife is the kind of person who, if me tell her a man and say me want go on Mars, before you say who that should on Amazon a shop for space suit. That is the kind
Excellent.
of support I have. Support is important. Don't underestimate the role that it plays in the life, especially in the life of a man. And for your man, if you feel like you need it, ask for it. You know what I mean? Like, because don't feel like you need to be taking on the world on your own by yourself. You want. You will kill yourself, brother. You will kill yourself, man.
Yes, we're talking to Mr. Andrew Dennis, otherwise known as Miss Pearly Grandson. And we just interviewed Mr. Andrew Dennis. On the other side of this break, we're going to interview Miss Pearly Grandson. That's who we're going to talk with. He has a wonderful, supportive wife and a daughter, Troy. So we'll come right back after this. You're listening to the Mailbox. I'm Pastor Courtney Morrison. Soon come back.
Integrity man, I am mom.
Sometimes all we need is a listening ear. The listening ear, the counseling, the logical reasoning, and spiritual guidance are what appeal to us. That's why I'm here. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, the counselor, your counselor on Love 101 FM, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. You know you can call on me. I will listen and more. So let's talk about what's bothering you. Anything. Tune in, listen, call in, text, or voice message. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, counseling psychologist, ready with a listening ear. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. Right here on the family station, Love 101 FM.
Do you have a heart condition? Your care should be in the hands of our experienced cardiovascular team at Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica. We're one of the leading heart centers for angiogram, stenting, pacemakers, EP studies, and ablation therapy. PICJ has the expertise and latest technology to treat all your heart needs. Call 876-995-7425 or email info@pic-jm.com for appointments. PICJ, your partners for life.
Yay! Get ready for a nostalgic time inside Love in the Morning with me, your host, Jakal Dyer, this Thursday, May 25. Listen throughout the show for tips on how to become the best version of who you are in the feature, Becoming You. Grab your cup of coffee and start the day right with Morning Coffee Pick Me Up Devotional at 6 a.m. Then at 7 a.m. we bring you the Morning Watch with intriguing and thought-provoking discussions. 8:40 a.m. we shake things up a notch inside How Do You React with scenarios and situations that make you stop and wonder, what would I do? What would I really do? 9:30 a.m. is Voice of Power, brought to you by the Power of Faith Ministries. Stick and stay with us. Just take me back Thursday inside Love in the Morning, 5 to 10 a.m. on the family station, Love 101. Celebrating 30 years of music, family, and love.
It's alright, just wait. I am a man, I am a man, I am a man, yes.
Welcome back. You're listening to the program, The Mailbox. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. And you're listening us live on air, Love 101 FM, the family station, the number one gospel station in the nation. We're speaking with Mr. Andrew Dennis. Indeed, he is one of great stature. He's an educator, a cultural ambassador, and a philanthropist at heart. He grew up in rural St. Elizabeth. You know, that country that they, wrong station. I can't talk about the good Isle. But he grew up doing a number of things with his grandma. And indeed, he went and transitioned to where he is. We want to remind our listeners, though, you get to participate by posting on our Facebook page at Love 101 FM. Leave your comments via our WhatsApp line at 876-997-3125. Or give us a call on our studio line at 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328. Remember, you can leave your comments or you can call us at those numbers. The WhatsApp line again, 997-3125, and the studio line, 968-8327 or 8, area code 876 for now. We're getting a new one as well. Can you imagine?
I hear.
Yes, sir. So it's now 4 minutes past the hour 6 right here at Love 101. We're talking about perspective through the generations, life as a youth. But you are a content creator. You have taken on the world, I believe, sir, as a social commentator, cultural ambassador on the social media platform. Tell us, how did you get there? What drove you? What motivated you? What inspired you? Because so many seem to have also become inspired by you. Tell us a bit about you getting into social media.
I've been into social media for a hot minute. Facebook and then Instagram have been on both platforms for quite some time. And from time to time, I had rants on my IG story, and the people would often say to me, why aren't you on TikTok? At the time, well, before I even get there, in 2020, when we had the pandemic, I launched my own YouTube channel, and I was trying to do that for a while, and then I recognized how unforgiving that can be in terms of the amount of energy and effort you have to expend, and how the returns not so great at all, because I find that people don't necessarily care for substance per se. So I fed the YouTube thing for a while with a certain amount of passion and enthusiasm, did not materialize too much. Still over there on life support, Miss Pearly grandson. But when I had my rants, when I expressed myself on Instagram, people would often say to me, "You should be on TikTok." But being a man of a particular age and having gone through, what I've gone through with social media or what have you, I thought to myself that Instagram would have been the last one. I didn't particularly care to venture into any Snapchat or Twitter, what have you. And my sister Roxanne was actually the one who was of greatest influence when she said to me, "You should be on TikTok," and she showed me hers and told me about some things that you're able to do and what have you. And I thought, okay, let me see what this thing has, for me. Let me see what it has, what it holds. And I downloaded TikTok. I think I downloaded TikTok in March of last year. I didn't start to really actively use TikTok until around about this time. So I'm celebrating my 1 year anniversary at this time on TikTok. But just a person with an opinion and somebody who probably likes to talk a little bit too much. And the rest is history, my good man. The rest is history.
You're definitely making an impact on social media, because I have listened to you even with the most recent commentary, and we know what is current in the nation. And you seem to have been doing well there, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're an educator,
I am.
yeah, but I'm tell us a bit about your passion, because we want to segue into something that we call our favorite folder. Tell us a bit about your passion. What's your driving passion?
Well, one of the things I tell people is that my passion is my strength, my passion is my weakness. And the reason why I use that expression all the time is because if I'm passionate about something, I throw myself into it. I didn't know the word passion until quite recently. My friend Michelle Robertson introduced me to the word passion, and she was the one who said to me, looking at the way I work at Manchester High School, she said to me, "Andrew, you are somebody who has passion." And I asked her, I said, "Tell me about that." And she started explaining to me, what that meant. And I'm able to draw a conclusion from that my passion is my strength, my passion is my weakness. My weakness in the sense that when I get carried away doing something, I'll pour myself into it to my own detriment, type of thing. So I'm a very passionate person. I'm passionate about people. I'm passionate about culture. I'm passionate about the less fortunate, particularly because of the kind of upbringing I've had. And maybe there were occasions when I wish there was somebody to speak on my behalf. Maybe there were occasions when I wish I had somebody to stand up for me, and I probably did not have that. But I'm particularly passionate about how people are treated by other people in a more authoritative position. I have a problem with people who feel like you can just talk to people anyway, deal with people anyway, treat people anyway. I'm very passionate about the less fortunate, very, very passionate about the disadvantaged, very, very passionate about anybody who is needy or in a less, make we say a less affluent position. I'm passionate about humanity.
Was that passion inspired by your own movement in life, from where you're coming from, rural St. Elizabeth, into where you are at now? Was it inspired by any of that?
If I'm honest with you, I'm not sure. Pastor, I would say that, well, the nature versus nurture debate continues even today, even to this point. We don't know what traits to ascribe to your genetic makeup and what traits to ascribe to the environment. We don't know what influences us and where the line of demarcation is. But all I know is that based on my brought up, see, as them would have said, between
Brethren, this is a worldwide web thing, you know. You need
yeah,
to explain those terms, you know.
yeah,
We're not speaking to Jamaicans only.
based on how I was brought up by my grandmother, based on the influences of my community there in Genus, and based on my experience with family, and then there's my father's side of family, and which shows a startling contrast from my mother's side of family, but both sides work together in a cohesive way, almost like it was planned. The support, the love, the push I get on both sides is very, very unique, but very, very important just the same. And so I feel like my passion basically comes about as a result of the subtotal of all of those experiences. I can't pin it down to any one thing.
Based on your own expression as to passion, would you say it's wise to pursue passion?
We ought to be passionate about something. Bless your heart if you're passionate about something that is righteous and more morally upright. You know what I mean? The world needs more passionate people. The world needs more people who are interested in things that can help us to advance. The world needs more people who are interested in helping others to grow, or helping to provide something for somebody. The world needs passion. You can't have a world without passion. People need to be passionate about something. There has to be something that causes you to get out of bed in the morning and push you to get through the day. If it happens to have anything to do with helping somebody else get through for them day, then all the better.
Nice. You started a new, is it charity? Probably.
Non-profit
MPG,
starting.
non-profit
Yeah.
organization. Tell us a bit about it.
Starting. Still in the very early rudimentary stage. It is the dream of my heart to have a non-profit organization in Jamaica where, especially, well, two subset of people can benefit, but by and large, everybody whom we can stretch hand to or who the organization can touch in a meaningful way. But I'm particularly careful about trying to help children with special needs like my child. But I'm also careful to help people like Miss Pearlie, the elderly among us. And the latter is very important to me because Miss Pearlie was almost like a sacrificial lamb. She gave of herself selflessly. And when she got to the time when she should have started to, get returns from her investment, she just check out. She died the year after I graduated from Teachers College. And so I was not able to impact her, in a way that I would have wanted to. And so now I feel that in her honor, MPG purpose, Miss Pearlie grandson purpose, would be an excellent way to reach other women, especially elderly women in Jamaica, like my grandmother, who probably poured into somebody somewhere along the line and is now in her declining years and would need somebody else to touch her in a meaningful way, whether in terms of a little bit of grocery, in terms of a cylinder gas, in terms of helping out with the light bill, whatever the case may be, just being able to help in that way, to help her to get through the day.
Word of God, he who lends a hand to the needy gives a hand to God. Just before we go for the last break, someone commented, said, "Good evening. Is Miss Pearlie grandson the same guy on TikTok telling about the benefits of the bag juice while using a French accent?"
That's not Miss Pearlie grandson.
That's not Miss Pearlie grandson.
That's not Miss
That's
Pearlie
somebody.
grandson.
Cause you use a Jamaican accent straight
Yeah,
through, right?
me not gonna use no other accent. You're gonna know, say me, you're not gonna make no mistake because you're gonna hear a chop up between the Jamaican vernacular and the English language where we come to know and love. You're not gonna hear me with anything else. So if it is French, if it is British, if it is Dutch or Italian, it's not Miss Pearlie grandson. At this you're gonna hear when you go over there.
We're talking to Mr. Andrew Dennis. Here, someone else. RN, registered nurse Den. Good to have you. MPG, you keep me going in the diaspora with your laughter and encouraging posts. Continue to make us proud, she says. Thank you, Denden.
That's it.
Lorraine Richards says, Hi, good evening. I love listening to this young man. Very outspoken and hilarious. I know Justice Paula Powell made a comment. She asked if you do comedy. Hi, Lady Paula Powell. Andrea Hewitt Brown says, she says she's watching. Hi.
Okay.
Oh, yes. So, you know, see how I'm handsome man thing. Remember him talk about his wife here? I'm a St.
Yeah.
Elizabeth lady. Like the word that Andrew used, brought up see.
Brought up. See. Yes.
It actually don't spell that way, Lady Brown. It's
I'm
not
pretty
three
sure it's
separate words, it's one
autocorrect.
word.
It's
Eh?
autocorrect. It's the phone do it.
It correct, brought up see. Mr. Andrew Dennis is an educator, a cultural ambassador, and a philanthropist at heart, and he's doing well. We want to know if there are words of inspiration. What would you say to our young men? What is different in this generation as opposed to the earlier generation that you were growing up? What are you seeing? And what advice can you give, if any?
The one of the major differences is the evolution of masculinity. When I was growing up, a man had a certain posture, you know, and was held in high esteem by virtue of that posture. You look at the men in your community, and you have respect. They commanded your respect in their very deportment. When you think about one man like Mas Eric, the very way him walk up and down the street, you think about a little brethren like Fuller, where me always get a little ride from pan him bike. Even my dad. You think about when we think about my father as a child growing up, when I look back at how young my father was, in his 20s when I would have been a little boy, and how I saw him then, as this man and somebody to aspire to be like, me can't wait to get big for groups, so me can't be one man like that. I feel like masculinity is evolving, and in some regards the evolution can be deemed a positive one, because by virtue of us living in the information age, a lot of positive role models are being projected in media, and our young men do have one or two good examples to try to emulate. But at the same time, all truths are parallel. There are also some less than desirable masculine figures that are being projected in media as well, especially social media. And unfortunately, they have a tremendous impact on our young men in schools. What can I say to young men? I know it's hard. It is absolutely challenging. When I was in my teenage years and I was trying to navigate puberty, there was a point when I was off the rails, and at that point in time, I needed to be rescued, and there was hardly anyone to rescue me in that moment per se. And so sometimes we underestimate the difficulties that our young men experience trying to navigate puberty, trying to navigate transitioning from childhood to adulthood. But I said to a young man, say, boy, choose carefully the people that you aspire to grow up for be. And if you, when you look at somebody and you say, this is the person I'd want to be when I grow up, don't just look at a flashy lifestyle, but think about probably, where do you see them in the next 10, 15, 20 years? Because the truth of the matter is that a lot of people show signs of success, but those are very, very, temporary. I want temporary, almost a facade of a success, because them not make it very far. You know what I mean? And so me that really say to the young men, say, boy, try your best. Me know it difficult. I know it is hard. But try to find people, men in the society who look like them can steer you in a one good solid direction, and try to see if you can aspire to go. Because the truth of the matter is that life can be long, because my grandmother lived till she 84, but life can be short if your choices are not good choices.
Mm, awesome. Inspiration to our young men. Um, are we seeing much more than we used to see now that we have opened up the doors through social media? Good inspiration. You alluded to it, and I also want you to answer. How do you balance family and what you do, which I think is something that a lot of us as men would love to know.
How do I balance? The question is, do I balance? You asked a very important question earlier about support, and if it comes back to support, it is not easy at times to have three different things tugging at you from different angles and trying to pull you in different directions. When you are faced with that, then you have to prioritize. Surely there are times when I probably would have preferred to sit and watch a movie. Needless to say, my wife would laugh at me because each time we sit together, we commit, say, well, we're going to watch a movie tonight. 10 minutes into the movie, I made that curl up start fast asleep. I'm not able to make it to the first 15 minutes. But she understands the things that require my attention at this time. She also understands the things that I am passionate about. She understands the purpose on my life. She understands my innate creativity. And she gives me the room to tap into those different facets of my life and to grow in those different areas. The truth of the matter is that when I ventured into content creation and stuff, I never envisioned seeing myself on Love 101 or any other radio station, type of thing. And like a lot of other radio stations in Jamaica, me and Love go way back. From Morning Glory days. I don't know if we still do Morning Glory. One set of footprints in the sand, type of thing. When you see the set of footprints, that is when I was carrying you. Love
Yes,
101 has
yes.
been a very, important part and so on. So, you know, I never saw myself, me never see myself go in a certain direction or being able to tap into certain markets or to unwrap certain opportunities. But here I am having a conversation, with somebody on Love 101. And then what does the future hold for me, Spurley grandson? Where do I
Yes.
go from here? What else is there to unearth or unravel? After me, no know. Me and not Jesus, I want to ask me. But what I
And that's
know
just
is
being
that
real.
as it is now, me get up, I'm a whisper, I'm a little prayer, me ask God that my life would be one that is, led by purpose
Yes.
driven. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so, them say as the steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord. I don't credit myself as being righteous, but I feel like I'm made righteous through the blood of Jesus. And by virtue of that fact, when once me get up and me pray my little prayer and say, Lord, let your will be done in my life today. Lead me according to your plan, your purpose, your will. Then as me go through the day, me embrace the different things that happen as a part of the plan, the purpose, and the will of God. Even if they are unpleasant, me rally back on the one where say all things work together for good. You know what I mean? Type of thing. So that's just it. That's just it.
Awesome. So, like what Jesus did, he got up early in the morning. So, whatever was presented, he was ready to do it. Three of the greatest lessons you have learned in life. What, if you can narrow it down to three, what are those three things that you would tell us?
Three of the greatest lessons I've learned in life. This is a difficult one to be. Me feel like me now want English exam. All right, Miss Roy, what would you say to Andrew? Make sure you have your thesis statement. Three of the greatest. Okay, I've learned a lot of things in life. Um, love the people
Mm,
who love on you and who support you. Yeah, there are
yes.
people who will expend a lot trying to help you along the way. Not be ungrateful. Don't forget where you're coming from. Remember, You know what I mean? And love them actively, not just love them from a distance. Love them on WhatsApp. Send them a little message and make them know, say, forget. Give them a call out of the blue and make them know, say, you're still did it. Type of thing. And then lesson number 2, forgive. I've learned that holding people in your heart leaves very little room for righteousness and goodness. Leave very little room for God. It might sound cliche, but when you let go off of somebody who do you something, you know understand the kind of burden that is lifted off of your shoulder. You know, and embrace life. Embrace life. Understand that if you want to be hilarious to God, them always say, tell him your plans. You know what I mean? It will not always go the way that you anticipate it going. Nothing in this life is linear. Absolutely nothing. You have a plan. You're going to actually put the things in place to accomplish, that certain plan or that goal or whatever. And you expect it to go be one straight line leading straight to your goal. It never ever happens that way. It is going to be highly convoluted. You're going to find yourself growing in a circle, sometimes like a dog chasing its tail. You're going to find yourself confused. And when you look outside the window, you actually are going in the opposite direction. Nothing in life is linear, but all of those experiences will work in the end to help you to accomplish your goals and your dreams. So embrace life. Love, forgiveness, and just embracing life.
Awesome, awesome. 3 wonderful steps, 3 wonderful lessons. Apart from those lessons that you learn that in themselves are quite informative and inspirational, this final thing, is there any one thing you want to say to our young men, our boys, our adult men that you want them to hear that probably is passionate on your heart and you just want them to hear? Just say it right now.
Be men. Be men. Be who you were called to be. And if you don't know what that means, go do some research. But I feel like me say, masculinity has evolved over the years, and to some extent, while we see excellent role models in the media and so on, we also water down the thing. So we get to a point now where men are expecting women to do certain things, that were traditionally men roles. You know what I mean? Can we go back to the place where men are actually men? Can we go back to the place where a woman who is with a man feel that sense of love, comfort, and security? Can we go back to the place where if a man is around, you feel the difference because of the kind of dominance where energy when bring to the space? Can we go back to the place where the lines are not so blurred? You know what I mean? Just be who you were called to be, man. Stand up on your 2 foot and make your presence be felt. There's a reason why we're stronger. There's a reason why we're more muscular. There's a reason why our voice sound different. You know what I mean? There's a reason why we take larger steps. Technically, if you look on appendage and so on, we have bigger foot and bigger hand and them there's something. Them the things that happen by accident. We were actually supposed to lead from the front and take the bull by the horn type of thing. So be a man. Be a man. Be a man.
Thank you very much. We have been talking to Mr. Andrew Dennis, cultural ambassador, educator, philanthropist at heart. He's known as Miss Pearly Grandson, and he was our guest today on Mentegrity Wednesday for the mailbox. Mr. Andrew Dennis, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
We want to say thanks as well, and we're saying thanks to our producer Trishan Brand, technical engineer Timoy Butler. We indeed say, for information on how to get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-9597 or download the podcast via our mobile app, Love 101 FM. We end the show with this quote: "But as for you, O man of God, flee evil, pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, steadfastness, gentleness." That was said by Paul the Apostle. Listen again next week for another mailbox. You're tuned in to the family station, the #1 gospel station in the nation, Love 101 FM. I'm Courtney Morrison. Next week, Monday.